Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're talking with Hector from Pizza Scene in Miami. All about what it's like to run a family pizzeria in a New York-style pizzeria in Miami. He moved from New York to Miami, and now he runs one of the best New York-style pizzerias in the city of Miami. And we talked to him about what it's like to go from almost closing during COVID to really thriving in working with his family, and about working with his kids and why it's important for him to do that. Great story, great family-run business, and I'm excited to share that with you right now. Hector, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you for having me.
Tell everybody where you're from.
Well, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, but now I'm in Miami, Florida, Miami Lakes, Florida. That's where my shop is at.
That's
The name of
awesome.
my shop is Pizza Scene. We're family owned. We've been in business going on 19 years now.
Wow. And when did you move to Florida from New York?
1990.
Do you regret it at all?
No, no, no. I needed to get out of New York. New York was too busy back in the 90s. So
Yeah.
in the 80s, actually, it was in the 80s, late 80s. I was a teenager. I was working in the pizza industry, and it was like the same thing over and over every day. Closing
Yeah.
shop, going out, opening, going out. So I kind of got tired of that, and I met my wife, and we decided just to venture out and come to Florida.
That's great. So when you moved to Florida, did you just say, all right, did you have the plan to open a pizza shop?
I always had the plan to open a pizza shop. I started working at Domino's Pizza back in 1986 when
Okay.
Domino's first came into the scene in Brooklyn, and I was a delivery driver for them. And then I started into their, they used to call it MIT program, Manager in Training, and I did that with them. And I stood with them for about 4 years, maybe, until I left in 1990. That's when we decided to move to Florida.
Nice. And that's great. And how long is your shop been open for? 19 years, you said?
Yeah, well, June of this year will be 19 years that we're open.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations. That's not easy to do.
No, no, it's been difficult, but and in between those 19 years, we've opened up two other shops,
Really?
and yeah, the first one we opened it up too soon. We opened it up back in 2008. We
Okay.
started in 2006 here. So in 2008, we ventured out and we opened one up. It was like 35 miles away from each other. So it was a little commute,
Right.
and the traffic in Miami don't help. So it was a little rough getting from one point to the other point. And back then, me and my wife were working full time in the shop. So she would work in one shop, I would work in the other shop, and my kids were young at that point. So, and then we ended up selling that one, and then we opened the second location in 2014. That one was doing great. It was like 3 miles, 3.5 miles up the road from here. And if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would still be there.
Did the pandemic close it, or did you sell it because of the pandemic?
I sold it because it was so hard to get employees. And
Yeah.
at that point, when we had that other shop, uh, my daughter had moved to Orlando. My son was working in the airline business. So we were just me and my wife and my other daughter. We were like bouncing around from store to store, open here, close there. Then we started closing Mondays and Tuesdays at the other location that was slower, and no employees. Nobody wanted to work. A lot of the kids that we had working here. So we're in the pizza business. We have teenagers working,
Right.
and teenagers still work still live at home. Their parents still dictate their life. So it was kind of hard to force the teenagers to come to work
Right.
because
Right.
the parents wait. No, parents will say, quit that job and you're not going to work. You're staying here.
Yeah.
So that's the position we found ourselves in.
So now you just have the one shop.
Yeah, we have the one shop. All my three kids work here. Two of them work full time, and one of them works part time. And yeah, we all work here. We have about 12, 13 employees here.
So you are a family-run business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't work as much as I used to. I'm probably here Tuesday mornings. I'm here in the shop. I run the morning with my daughter, and then they pretty much run it the rest of the time.
That's great. How is it working with your family? Is it hard?
Very hard. It's very hard, but it's rewarding at the same time because you see them grow and you see them. evolve in the business. And right now they're coming up with new ideas. We started backlash like 2 3 years ago. We wanted to do Sicilian pizza. Miami Lakes, Miami don't know Sicilian pizza. Now they got Detroit style, they got Sicilians, they got, they got the Cuban pizza is a thick pizza, but it's a round thick pizza.
Okay.
So we started doing the Sicilian, and it wouldn't take off. We would have it on the display case, and people wouldn't even want to look at it. But slowly, we are doing, we're selling some Sicilians. We always have them in the store. And we're doing like a slice of the day type of thing where they have their go at it and they create their own pizzas.
That's
Like
great.
my daughter came up with a birra pizza, the Mexican birra, the meat.
Yeah.
And it actually turned out to be pretty good. It was a really good pizza.
That's great. What describe your pizza shop? What is it? Takeout, delivery? Do you have dine-in?
We have takeout, delivery. We do all the third parties. At one point, we had 7 delivery drivers. Back in the probably like 10 years ago, we had probably 7 delivery drivers on Friday night. We would do 100 deliveries on a Friday night.
Wow, that's good.
Now, picture this. My store back then was only 800 square feet.
That's crazy.
We have no deep fryer. We have no kitchen. All we have is the pizza oven. That's all we have.
Is that the same now?
Yeah, it's still the same. We took over the spot that I'm in right now talking to you, and we took over the spot next to us. During the pandemic, this place closed down. It was a phone store, and they closed, and the landlords offered me to take over. And I thought about it for about a year. I was thinking about it, and finally I said, you know what, let's do it. We opened up a dining room. I only had 3 tables inside my restaurant with 6 chairs. 2
Boy.
chairs in each table. The rest was outside eating.
Wow.
So, and during the pandemic, that helped us. Everybody wanted to eat outside. We never got closed. They never shut us down because we were pretty much outdoor.
Right.
We closed it. We closed inside. We had everything inside was for pickup and delivery, and we pushed everybody outside to eat.
So you do a lot of deliveries now then too, huh?
Yeah, we do with third parties. We deal with all third party right now. I use
So you don't have
Slice
any
as
of
my
your own
main
delivery
one.
drivers?
No, no more.
What made you switch? Was it just hard to get delivery drivers?
I did the switch during the pandemic where I
Yeah.
couldn't really get any drivers, so I kind of was forced to do it. It was a scary thing to do, that to go from your in-house delivery drivers and to go just straight third party. But that's where the business was going. It took me a while to get on this on the ride of the third party. I didn't want to do it at the beginning, and my vendors. I had a good friend that's a vendor. One of my vendors, he says, "Hector, you got to do it. You got to do it. This place is doing it. This place is doing it." And I wanted to keep it old school, and it didn't work. Finally, I had to give in and go with third party.
That's interesting. A lot of people ask that, especially, I mean, the pandemic was a weird situation where it kind of forced you to do things that it either helped you to do things that you've always wanted to do, but never really had the time or energy to kind of make it work because of dealing with customers or systems. And then the pandemic was like, nope, now you got time. Or it forced you to do things like that. What do you think? Do you regret doing that? Do you wish you had your own delivery drivers?
No, I don't regret getting rid of delivery drivers because I got rid of the headaches. You know
Yeah.
how when I had the last time I had 4 delivery drivers. They would fight because they would also do stuff in the back. I had a back room where, they wash dishes, they
Yeah.
do some small prep, but they will always fight with each other because you didn't do this in the morning. Why I have to do it at night? It's like little kids, and these are
Yeah.
grown adults in their 50s
Yeah.
and fighting like teenagers.
Yeah. I
So I
totally
don't
get that.
regret it. I don't regret it.
The only reason I ask is I never dealt with the third-party deliveries in my shop, but we did have a lot of delivery drivers. We would have like 10 or 12, 15 delivery drivers sometimes on a Friday night. And I know exactly what that's like. They would even fight about, so we had a good sophisticated system for the delivery dispatch screen where it would be like, all right, this is the order came up. We'd bump the order. It would come up on the delivery screen. It'd be like, all right, this is the top order. We'd have people fighting because they would like get to know the customers and they would know that customer wouldn't tip great and they want to skip that one and go to the next one. And we're like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I started when there was deli tickets. We used to do in Domino's. It was deli tickets. You would get a 3 copy. You had to wet it on a sponge, put it on the box, put the box up. The driver had a. It was the honor system. They had to pull the two tabs. One of them will go into a little box, and the other one, the driver will put it on his hand to deliver the pizza that had the
wow.
address on it. But there was drivers that were slick. They would put their tabs into other people's little boxes. So at the end of the night, this driver's paying for a delivery you collected the money for. When I started, it was all cash. It was no credit cards. It was all cash business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like you'd find drivers like that would like try to hack the system. Be like, Jesus Christ, if you spent that much time on like productive shit, you'd be so much further ahead in life than trying to hack the system of trying to get an extra 3 deliveries a night.
I to this day, I tell my kids, I have systems in place for everything. There's a system in place for everything. They spend, they don't do it as much anymore, but they spend more time trying to get around the system that if
Yeah.
they would do it right, they would have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
They just try to scheme up things, how to do things, how to get away from this, how to do this, you know?
Yeah. People
But
ask me all the time about the delivery. That's why I asked you, because they they either are starting their pizza shop now and they don't have delivery, and maybe they want to add delivery, and they're like, should I do my own delivery drivers or should I use third party? And I don't know. I don't know if either, they both have their pros and cons, right? But I do know that when you have your own delivery drivers, it is another business inside of your business, because you're managing
exactly.
delivery drivers is a different schedule. You have a different manager who operates the area, especially if you're a busy shop and you have multiple drivers. They got to watch them. You got to collect the money. There's just so much that goes into it that I don't know. I don't know if I would try to avoid delivering at all if I was starting a pizza shop today. But if I had to, I may start with third party just to kind of ease myself into it, because it's the easiest thing to do.
Yep. Yep. It's smooth. You know, you started with third party. I think it's smooth. Yeah. When you have your own delivery drivers, you do have a little bit more control of your quality, how it goes out the door, who's taking it. You know, sometimes you got third party delivery guys that come in and walk out the door with a pizza like a suitcase,
Yeah.
you know, and then we
Yeah.
tell them, hey, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they're clueless because before all this, you know, all these third party companies came in, I tell everybody, the pandemic showed everybody how to deliver pizza.
Yeah.
It showed them how to deliver everything. If you really think about it, 8 years back, 10 years back, the only thing you could get delivered to your house was Chinese food or pizza.
Yeah. True.
Now you go order Dunkin' Donuts, you go order anything you want.
Yeah. You get
And
toothbrush delivered to your house.
exactly, and no minimum.
Yeah.
No minimum. You just pay the fee and that's it. You know, I remember we started with, I had free delivery when I first started.
Same.
And then when I went to $1 delivery, you know, I was like, oh my God, the customers are gonna, oh boy, what we're gonna do, you know? Well, I bumped it up to $1. During the pandemic that I finally, when I still had my drivers, I bumped it up to 5. But it went up from like 3.50, I think, to $5. And I thought that was going to be the end of it, you know,
Yeah.
and customers pay it. They just pay it. The
That's the one good
convenience.
thing about those third party apps is they got customers used to paying a delivery fee.
Yeah.
A
And
high
high
one, too.
delivery fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no low delivery fees. You know, you're going to pay, you know?
I remember we implemented $1.50. We went from free to $1.50 to start, and it was like me and my partner were both thinking to ourselves, "Oh God, how many phone calls are we going to get on this?" And we would give it to the driver. Like, we wouldn't even take it. We would just give that to the delivery driver as part of their like, it as a way to have them make more money. You
Yeah.
know, we got a couple calls, but for the most part, people just paid it. But $1.50
Yeah.
now is like nothing.
Yeah. $1.50 is nothing now. But yeah, back then, you know, those are stressful things that us as operators, we need to think about
Yeah.
because on top of we're charging for the pizza, then we're charging for delivery. And then, you know, if they tip the driver, sometimes they feel obligated to tip the driver, you know, but which most of them do.
Yeah.
But it's not an easy thing to do, you know. You always got to have that thing in the back of your mind, like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Plus, people always think pizza is cheap. Like, they think it costs $2. Every time I post something on Instagram or TikTok or on a YouTube video about prices, and You get these random comments like, yeah, but it costs $2 to make a pizza. Yeah, if you make it at home, it may cost you $2 when you're using shitty flour and horrible cheese from the grocery store. But like, if you're making it, if you want to make a good pizza and have employees help you run the business, it's not going to cost you $2 to make pizza.
Exactly, especially with the cost of labor now, and labor keeps going up, and you know, these teenagers don't want to make minimum wage anymore.
No,
you know, there is no minimum wage for teenagers anymore. They want to start sometimes higher than what you're making.
You know, especially when they see YouTubers making $1 million a year opening boxes.
Exactly.
They're like, I want to be a YouTuber. I don't want to cut pizzas for a living.
Exactly.
So you got to pay them a little bit more to get them in there because, like you said, a lot of them are not used to the hard work of like being in a busy kitchen all day on a Friday night with the phones ringing and the pizza's coming out of the oven. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
So you've been a pretty good staple in your community for a while. So do you still have to do marketing to get people in the door, or does everybody in your area kind of know you're there?
A lot of people in my area know I'm here. We're in a small, Miami Lakes became a town back in 2000. So it's a small little community. What helps me draw people to me here is that right behind me, I have a 17-theater movie theater. I'm in an open kind of mall. So there used to be some big chains here, like, you know, Tony Roma's was here, Ruby Tuesdays. I have an ale house across the street. So it draws people to the area. So, but we do marketing, you know, we try to do our best with Instagram and Facebook. We really don't do anything else anymore. I used to do a lot of mail outs. Before the pandemic, I did lots of mail outs. I was on a program with a great company that they do my mail outs every quarter. They would change it up and do something different for me.
You're not doing that anymore?
I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I find like mailers had their time. Maybe they're coming back though, because I feel like maybe mail is a undervalued marketing strategy. Now the problem is it's just so damn expensive.
You know what it is? It gets mixed in with all the junk you get at your house. Because I get mailers in my house from other companies, and you get mailers. It goes into a folder looking like thing, and all the junk's in there. I find myself taking it out and just throwing it in the garbage because I look through it just to see if there's any my mail stuck in there. But most of the time, I went to my friend's apartment building, and where the post office leaves them on the counter there, all the mailers. Yeah. And they're there for weeks. Nobody picks them up. Everybody, and if they put them in their mailbox, they get it and they leave it on the counter and they don't even take it. So
exactly. Like I do the same thing. I have P.O. box for the show and I get mail all the time. And anything that's not directly to me, like a generic piece, I just take it and put it right in the recycle bin.
Yeah.
I don't even really look at it. You know, I guess it had its peak too, but I mean, marketing now, you can do TikTok, you can do YouTube, you can do Instagram. But, you know, I feel like people have a hard time with that too. Do you find that to be challenging? Like, what's the most challenging part about marketing for you?
You know, we had a person doing our marketing on Instagram and Facebook for a little bit.
Like a company or an individual that lived near you?
An individual that lived nearby. And it was good. We got a good exposure. You know, my kids were doing it before that, and then they're starting to take it over again. But it's so hard to be on there, you know, especially, you know, me, I'm not really up with the technology. So it's kind of hard for me to do that. Even to do this, what I'm doing right now with talking, it's really hard for me.
Why? You seem like you're doing a great job.
Let me tell you something. I struggle with this, with talking. Prior to being here at my shop, I used to run and I had a bunch of managers that would have meetings and stuff like that where I directed them and stuff like that. But since from being in my own place, I kind of just want to be behind the scenes. I don't really want to be in front of everything. You know, I try to let my kids do that. So they're getting back to that. They're doing the marketing on Instagram and posting as much as they can and stuff like that.
The late 90s, early 2000s was peak pizza shop because like you could do marketing and you didn't have to be on camera. Like you didn't have to do TikTok. There was no Instagram. There was no Facebook really. Like you didn't have to do any of that. You could just
Exactly.
design your mailers and your flyers, and if you did a good enough job to get attention on those, like you could be the owner and not ever really have to talk to anybody other than your employees.
Exactly. Nobody really knew the owners until they start coming out on Instagram and stuff like
Yeah,
that. People in the neighborhood know me. They As soon as I went to a meeting, a luncheon here in the town, and they made everybody stand up and announce what business they have in the town. And as soon as I said pizza scene, everybody was like, "Oh my God, we love your place. We know your place. I gained 20 pounds from your food. This and that." So everybody knows us here in the town, and they
that's
know my
great though.
kids. Yeah.
That's the good part about being known. Like that's what you want because you want to be known in the community. It's like a good fulfilling part of the business to be known as like the pizza guy in the community where everybody goes to that lives there.
And in my community here, just in Miami Lakes, and I'm counting just the mom and pop places that are here in Miami Lakes, not the chains. There's 3 other pizza shops within 3 miles from me that have been here longer than I've been here, and we're all friends. We all get along. I know all of them. I have everybody's phone numbers. They call me when they need stuff, and I call them when I need stuff.
That's
On a
great.
Saturday night, you run out of stuff. Hey, they don't use the same pepperoni I use, but I need it.
Yeah.
Everything else is closed. What am I going to do? Be out of pepperoni? I just call my local guy, friend, pizza owner, and no problem. They'll even deliver it to me if they have to,
Really?
Just yesterday, I got a call from a guy that I deal with a lot, and he has his own shop. I think they just hit 25 years.
Wow.
And he calls me up, Hector, you have 18-inch boxes? I said, no, I don't use 18-inch. Oh, I thought you used 18. I need a bundle of 18-inch boxes, But
That's you don't see each other as competition?
not really. I honestly, I really don't, because I think there's business for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, and we all do New York pizza. We all do New York pizza.
Is
But
it
there's
different? Like,
business
is it
for
the same
everybody.
or is it different pizza? Like, if
The
you go
oth-
into
the
yours,
other,
it's different than the other one.
I'll tell you, my son and his son go to 2 other shops to get slices, to get a pie. And they bring it to the house and we eat it. It's the same pizza. It tastes different,
Yeah.
different ingredients. They're more of a sit-down restaurant. They have pasta dishes. I do have pasta dishes, but all my dishes are served on a tin to go. So you eat in my restaurant on a round tin, and then you take it and throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
They're more of a sit-down restaurant with waitresses, and they take the order. They have fountain drinks. I don't have fountain drinks. All I only have is canned drinks. But no, I don't see ourselves as competition. We help each other.
That's
We're a
great.
community. That's what it is.
That's something that the internet, I think, has helped a little bit too. Because back in the day, everybody would be like really secretive about what they were doing, and nobody would really help anybody.
Very cutthroat.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Maybe it was because there was not a lot of like pizza shops were one of the only kind of businesses that delivered or catered to like the takeout. When you think about it, maybe that's why. And now it's like,
Yeah.
they can get it anywhere. Why are we going to be so cutthroat with each other? They can just go anywhere they want and get a delivery or takeout anywhere.
Exactly. I tell my kids, that phone rings. Hey, they're calling us to give us money. They
Yeah.
want to hand us money. We need to take their money, because if we don't take it, somebody else will.
Yeah, exactly.
And I tell my son, every order that comes in, I treat it like it's $1,000 order. I want to get it in the oven as fast as I can, get it in, and get it out the door.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point, because there's a lot of places that those customers could spend their money. So you're fighting not just for another pizza shop, but another anything. So you have to be like, every experience has to be great for the customer from start to finish.
Yeah. I made a video during the pandemic, and I put it up on social media about the pandemic, how, we were suffering for, when it first started that March. I remember March, April, we were suffering, and we didn't know we were going to make it. I made a video saying, like, your local mom and pop places, we're here, we're working during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We don't have deep pockets like the big corporations. We're here struggling just to get by and pay ourselves and make money. You know, it
Yeah,
was hard.
I bet. I mean, I remember. I mean, it feels like it was yesterday, but it was 5 years ago now.
Hmm.
In I mean, 5 years ago, right about now. Like
Yeah,
as we're
exactly.
recording
It,
this
it was
podcast.
right now,
Yeah.
right now, exactly.
So we're almost 5 years into it. It doesn't feel like 5 years went by. It felt like 2000 to 2023 was like 1 year.
Hmm.
It like never really got. It didn't really improve really till 2022 towards 2023.
And then we had probably 2 years into the pandemic, we had our best year.
Wow.
We did our biggest growth during the pandemic,
How's
and
business now?
still we're good. Well,
Yeah.
you know, we're bad. We're going against last year's numbers, but we're doing good. We're doing okay. You know, we're not as much. We did more during the in 22. That
Yeah.
was my top year with only 800 square feet and no inside dining.
Wow.
So we were cranking out pizzas. Sometimes I would check my sales on a Friday night, and I would call I said, I have no idea how you guys do it. Crank all those pizzas out of two ovens, but they do it. They
You just
do
have a
it.
double deck oven?
That's it.
What kind
That's
of
it.
oven do you use?
Baker's Pride.
Okay, so you could probably fit what, 5 pizzas in each oven?
We could fit about 7-8 pizzas of 16 inches in the oven.
Oh wow. So okay, so they're good sized
Yeah,
ovens.
yeah, they're the Y600s, and I have four different. I have a 14-inch, which is my medium.
Yep.
I don't have a small. I've got a 14-inch. I have a 16-inch, which is my large. I have an extra large, which is 20-inch, that we also use for house pies. And then I have a 24-inch, where we call it a New York Jumbo.
Whoa, that's a big one.
That's what you get, a couple of those, and your oven's taken. You only
Yeah.
can fit two of those in the oven.
They take 10 minutes to cook. You cook time 8 to 10 minutes. Is that what
Yeah,
you're cooking?
yeah. 8. On Friday night, probably take a little longer since they're opening the oven. 12
Yeah.
minutes.
And how many pizzas are you cooking on a Friday night?
Man, on a Friday night we could do 160 pizzas.
That's great. So you guys are cranking over there. Like
Yeah,
that oven's full the whole time.
yeah. We go through slices on the weekends like crazy. We start on a Friday night with probably 20 double stack. Sometimes we have to double stack them, 20 house pies.
Wow. At night
And
you
then,
selling slices?
yeah, we sell slices all day.
Oh wow. I feel like
Yeah.
slices was more like of an afternoon thing.
No, we sell slices. Remember, we have a lot of kids that come here, and they're going to the movie theater.
Oh, okay.
So they want a can of soda, a slice, and then they get ice cream.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you're doing great then. You're doing pretty good, and your kids are kind of into the business. They enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. They enjoy it. I think they're just starting to realize what could be done here. Since they were born, back, my son was born 91. He's going to be 34 years old, my son. I have a 34-year-old. I have a 32-year-old daughter, and I have she's going to be 27, my daughter.
Wow.
The 27-year-old is going to go with me to Vegas. We're going to be in Vegas.
Oh, nice. I'll see you there.
Yeah. Yeah. She was invited to do pizzas at an event at Pizza Rock for women in pizza.
Oh, great.
So we're going to go out there, and she's going to make some pizzas there.
Oh, that's cool. Is that her first pizza expo?
No, she's been there. I've taken all of them. All of them have gone to the expo with me.
Oh, so they're pretty familiar with the business. Like, do they do the books and everything too? Like, are they familiar with the numbers of the business, or are they just because like most kids come in there and be like, "Dad, you should do this. Dad, you should do that," and you're like, you have no idea yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, they give me ideas. They give me ideas on pizzas and marketing a little bit. But honestly, I work here on Tuesday mornings to be with her, and sometimes I work with my son on some mornings.
Yeah,
But most of the time, they're by themselves. I could do everything from home. I order my food. I do my labor. I do everything. Everything gets done at home.
that's great.
Yeah,
And is the goal for you to kind of step away and let them take over?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I would like to do that and let them take over and run it. I have two grandkids that actually, one of them already makes pizzas,
Get out of
and
here!
he's 9 years old.
Wow.
But he's a big 9-year-old. And I tell them, I said, that'll be like third generation pizza makers. And they could do whatever they want. I tell them they go to school. I always push for them to go to school, be a
Yeah.
lawyer, be a doctor, be whatever you want. But and while you're going to school, work in the pizza shop. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, it took a while for my son, and I think to kind of be where he's at right now, and see what the shop could, you can make the shop and what the shop. They've been raised on pizza.
Yeah.
That's all I've done for 38 years.
Wow. So when you say your son
It's pizza.
sees it now, do you mean like he wanted to do something else and he's coming back to the pizza shop?
Well, he left when we had our second location. He left. He pretty much, we both agreed he needed to leave and do something else.
Yeah.
And he worked for an airline for like 4 or 5 years maybe, and then finally he came back during the pandemic. Me and my wife had a meeting with everybody, and we said, listen, we have no employees. We need you guys back, or else we're not going to make it. We're going to end up either closing or selling, And my daughter was in Orlando. She came back. They gave their 2 weeks notice where they were at, and they've been here probably, I would say, about 4 years now.
Wow, that's great. Sometimes kids need to go
Full-time.
do something else on their own and just to see other things.
That's what my daughter's doing. My middle daughter's doing right now. We bumped heads a lot, so she kind of left to go work at an office.
Yeah.
And she's in between. She works a couple of shifts at night, and she still works over there full time. So she's in between right now. But they do need to see how it is out there. The grass is never green on the other side. It's not always green on the other side.
Yeah, no.
And the same things I tell them here, somebody else is going to be telling them. I told my son, I recently told him, until you're not the one signing the checks, you're always going to have a boss.
Yeah.
So, it's either me or somebody else, and eventually, I want them to take over full time and me not be in the picture anymore. But they say I could never do that. I'm always on top. I'm always on top of things.
Yeah, but you know what? Even when you work for someone, you have one boss usually, right? Maybe you have a couple. But when you own the business, like technically all your employees are your bosses, because if they all leave, you're kind of screwed.
Exactly.
You have multiple bosses. Even though, you are the one that's ultimately in charge, it doesn't always mean it's easier.
You're the only one that can't leave.
Yeah, exactly. You get stuck there.
You're stuck here during the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. You're stuck here.
Yeah.
And in some sort of way, I think they're also stuck here too. And I do the scheduling, but when somebody calls out, they jump in and take over the shifts and stuff like that. They handle that. They try. During the pandemic, the 22, 23 that we were extremely busy, I came up with a schedule for them. All three of them were working with me, and each of them had 3 days off. Where do you see you have 3 days off in a pizza shop? And one of those days off was a weekend day.
Never.
Never.
No. When I operated the pizza shop, I had 3 days off.
That.
I had 3 days off a month.
Yeah, they don't see that. They don't see that. When I first started in the business back in 90, I was working 70, 80 hours a week, but I was also 18, 19 years old.
Yeah,
know, and it was like nothing. Hey, my labor's high. Call somebody up. Hey, don't come in today. I'll cover your shift. I was the manager because I needed to make my bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like my day off was Sunday, and I went into work from 9 to 12 just to make sure everything was settled in. That was the day off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what would you give to advice for someone who wants to get started in the pizza industry today? Like, what would you tell them?
Man, first do your homework. Know your numbers, man. Your numbers are very important. Know your costs. Know pricing. Pricing right now is so hard because I think, man, I can't really charge $18 for a pizza, but everybody else is. Everybody else is charging that or more. Some of them are charging less, but they're not using the same quality items that you use. Do your homework, man. Know your numbers. Food cost is very important. Food cost is one of the most important things. Your rent's going to be your rent. Your light's going to be your light. Your gas is going to be your gas. You can't control that.
Right.
The only things you can control is your labor and your food. That's it. Things are going to break. Always have a reserve to pay for the stuff that break and get it done.
I love it. That's great advice. And you're so right. Knowing your numbers is really important. And I think a lot of people focus a lot on the quality of the pizza, but not the numbers behind the pizza shop. And I think those two go hand in hand, right? Because especially if you're making a high quality pizza, if you're making a really high quality pizza and using really good ingredients, you can have that food cost get out of control real quick.
Very quick.
And then you're stuck.
And also keep tabs on your vendors. For many years I only had one vendor. One vendor was my main vendor. During the pandemic, that vendor could not get the sauce that I use.
What'd you do?
So I had to go to another vendor that had sauce. And I actually met with the guys I use Stanley sauce. So I met with the broker here, and he says, listen, Hector, this is what you're using. You can't get it, mix it with this and mix it with that. It's going to come out the same and stuff like that. So I started doing that. But at one point, my vendor will call me, Hector, I got a truck coming in with sauce. How many do you want? I said, give me 25 cases. I will stack them in front of the store, 6 feet high, the cases, because we didn't have room in the back. My room in the back was so small, we have no room. So I would get sauce and I would have it stacked. We had a problem. At one point, we were like, my God, we can't get the sauce. It was because they would come on train, I guess, and the train was stuck somewhere. I don't know. You hear all sorts of stories. But always, have your vendors compete.
Yeah.
Your vendors, they want your business, and they will compete. And believe it or not, $1 here, $1 there adds up.
Totally. And they're not super loyal to you, so you don't need to be super loyal to them.
No. It adds up. You think back at the end of the month, how much you're saving on this, how much you're saving on that, and it pays for your light bill.
Yeah. Or an extra employee, right? To get a day off here or there.
Exactly.
So it all adds up. You're totally right. Hector, where can people go follow you if they want to say hello to you on, I know Instagram, you guys are pretty active on your Instagram or your website. Where should they go?
Pizzascene.com is my website. And I'm on Instagram, and the shop is on Instagram and on Facebook also.
Excellent. I appreciate you. We'll link all that up in the description and the show notes for this podcast episode, but I appreciate you joining me on the podcast. I enjoyed our conversation and did a great job. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Hector, for joining me on the podcast. If you want to follow Pizza Scene or Hector, or if you are in the Miami area and you want to take a visit over there, we will link everything up in the description below this video. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, leave a comment where you're watching this from. I always like to see where people are catching these videos from. If you have a pizzeria, drop it in the comments below. We'll follow you as well. Thank you so much. See you right back here next week, everybody.